Okay, I know this isn't a video that anyone is probably expecting me to make, but I've got so much stuff that I'm doing this year, and so many things that I'm behind on, that I kind of have no choice but to appease the algorithm and just make this kind of video for the sake of it, so... Yeah, I'm sorry if no one wanted this, but hey, at least you get some good reading recommendations. I'd call that a win. Anyways, here's a list of things that I think if animated would be really amazing. Why animated, you might ask? Because that's far better than live action in my opinion. Plus, animation is such a beautiful art form that I think having all of these be an animated feature or series would do wonders. And no, that is not just because all of these series are not that well known amongst everyone. I imagine this video will amount to nothing more than a recommendation video, but if you all genuinely agree with my opinions, that's really awesome, and I thank you for that. Anyways, I hope you all enjoy the video and do all that usual stuff that you do on YouTube. Here's a good question to ask yourself at 2 in the morning. If you had the ability to do everything every single animal on planet Earth could do, what would you do? And just for clarification, not the ability to transform into any animal, but the power that any animal possessed. This is the question that Buddy Barker must ask himself in Grant Morganson's truly unbelievably spectacular series, Animal Man. Now, before this, Animal Man was just a lesser-known DC character that would only appear in the background, and if you saw his name, you wouldn't think too differently of him as an extra. Kind of like Booster Gold! And just like Booster Gold, you're left asking yourself, what is his purpose? Morganson not only decided to answer this question, but he also decided to take a Kafka/Dostoevsky-like approach to this story, when it comes to not just extreme existentialism, but the varied nature of what a character is. Morganson goes places with this character that no one should have gone with any character, period. But it just works here, and not only does it works to the biggest extremes anyone could ever fathom for this kind of idea. Plus, the artwork here by Brian Bollard is just hauntingly beautiful and beautifully haunting at the same time. I'm refraining from telling you anything else because anything I could say would inevitably lead to a spoiler, and this is one of those stories where you do not want to get spoiled on anything. I'm hoping James Gunn will do something with Booster Gold, Plastic Man, and Animal Man in the future. And even if he doesn't, I hope all of you will dive into the story that is Grant Morganson's Animal Man. This is the resting place of the world's greatest heroes. These are their adventures. Their powers bestowed by a mysterious island, 6 friends came together to fight injustice. Dedicated to peace and freedom, their only desire was to help other people, and to serve humanity until their final breath. Jump forward to 1959, and the exact opposite of what was just said is occurring. This is Mark Millar's Jupiter's Legacy, with artwork by Walfredo Torres and David Gelfrance. Apologies if I mispronounce any of those names. Much like Animal Man, and now that I think about it, probably every other thing that I'm going to mention on this list, this is a story that you do not want to get spoiled for you. Without giving too much away, this story is essentially just about a bunch of people who got superpowers, and after doing whatever they wanted for so long, must now reap what they have sowed. While Jupiter's Legacy does have a live-action adaptation, I think just from me saying that, you know that this series is not popular. And yes, one could argue that this could technically just be another Invincible knockoff, but I genuinely think that there is a real, powerful, and emotional story here. Plus, in spite of their similarities, they're 2 genuinely different series, and I think it would be interesting to see both of them handled with such care in an animated format. And again, the art by Torres and Gelfrance is really, genuinely spectacular. I'd love to see this animated, and no, that is not just because of this story. If it was animated in a format similar to that of The Iron Giant, I think this series would do unbelievably well. So if you have some time, go ahead and check out Jupiter's Legacy. A girl on her way to school falls down a well. After landing, she finds a skeleton. And, more importantly, she finds a ghost. And now, she's Anya's ghost. This is Verda Broskol's Anya's Ghost. Yes, this story sounds very basic on paper, but trust me, this goes places that you would never expect it to go. I love two things in particular about this story. How character-driven it is, and how the writing lends itself and elevates it to such a degree where it's almost unbelievable how well this is written. Maybe that's three things. Anyways, I, in particular, really love it when a story just continuously gets more diverse and intricate as the story progresses, and this book is just really great at that. Especially when the plot decides to sink into your skin and affect all the characters in an extremely emotional and psychological way. I think an animated feature of Anya's Ghost would be really great to see. I'm not exactly sure what I would use for a reference for this, but I definitely know for a fact that something akin to Amphibia's animation style would probably be really great to see here. And maybe the feel of Coraline would be really great to see here as well. Anyways, if you have some time, go read Anya's Ghost. It's surprisingly short, and no, I'm not just saying that because I could not put this down after I started reading it. You know what series I think is on par with Spider-Man Noir? This. This is Juan Diaz Canales and Guano Granito's masterpiece, Blacksad. Our story follows the private investigator John Blacksad as he's essentially racing against time to stop the threat of nuclear annihilation, child abduction, and a string of murders that are all occurring during the Red Scare of the 1950s. The art by Grohan is just gorgeous. It is breathtaking. It is literally every synonym you could ever think of for the word beautiful. You could never tell he was a laid-off Disney animator in the height of the Renaissance. Well, at least he wasn't replaced by AI. I beg you, if you do not read any of these art recommendations, please read Blacksad, or at least make Blacksad one of the things you read. Hopefully after this video is done. I think an animated version of this, similar to the animated style of the indie pilot LACKADAISY, would just be every synonym for the word amazing. Not just because indie artists are amazing and we should support them. By the way, please go support them right now. That's just the only animated style that can capture the beauty that is Blacksad. There's a reason why Granito is an animator, after all. Anyways, please read this book, and support artists while you're at it. Also subscribe. Much like Jupiter's Legacy, this next one got a live-action adaptation, but again, I hear no one talking about it, so I think it might be better if it's in an animated format. Or better yet, a full film trilogy. Anyways, this is Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. Our story follows Lyra and her daemon, and the best way I can describe it is not describing it at all, because you really need to read the book for yourself, as they try to avoid capture from her uncle, who wants her for very mysterious reasons in this strange, crazy fantasy world, traversing deeper and deeper into the north, leaving behind everything that she once knew, for hopefully something better. At its core, this is a fantasy story about growing up. And the way Pullman writes about this more than mortal battle is just really engaging and really well done. I think an animated adaptation of this in either a series or a film trilogy would be very appreciated. Above all, though, I think this is just a really great modern fantasy idea, and I really wish more people would consider this up there with stuff like Narnia. And now that I think about it, the last two things I'm about to talk about in this video. Remember how I said if you take nothing out of this video, you should at least read Blacksad or one of these two other series? Well, here are the other two series that I'm about to mention. First, we have Kozu Kabishi's Amulet. Again, sorry if I mispronounce anyone's name in this video. The series follows Emily, her brother Naven, and her recently widowed mother, Karen. Without giving too much away, because I kinda already gave away something, Karen decides to kinda start over by moving into this old house that belonged to her uncle. However, after settling in for the first night, Karen immediately gets abducted by a monster who then goes into the basement and flees through a door. Em and Naven have no other alternatives, so they head through the door as well and end up in a whole nother world. Now, Em and Naven must find their mother, as well as stop a war that is about to happen. Oh, and get home as well. But, stopping a war is really important as well, so we should probably do that, right? Yeah, let's focus on that, shall we? Now, this was actually supposed to get adapted into an animated feature, and it would have had Jason Futch, the guy who wrote Welcome to Derry. It would have had him writing the story, but as far as I can tell, this thing is cancelled, so let's hope that this can get adapted into an animated series at some point. And no, that's not just because I think that's a better way to tell this story. I'm honestly surprised with how well done and just amazingly great this series is that it hasn't pioneered a whole genre of other fantasy-related stories like it. I'm being serious. I would genuinely put this up there with some of the greatest fantasy stories ever written, like Narnia and Lord of the Rings and Never Die and Percy Jackson and, all those others. And I think what makes this even more amazing is that this and the next series I'm about to talk about are made for kids. I guess it just goes to show there's a lot of potential in kids-related media. Maybe we shouldn't overlook it. And last, but certainly not least, the masterpiece that is Bone by Jeff Smith. This series follows the Bone named Phone Bone, and his cousins Smiley Bone and Phony Bone. After Phony was run out of Boneville for one too many schemes, and decided to drag Smiley and Phone Bone down with him, the three of them are left to fend for themselves out in the wilderness. Afterwards, they meet a plethora of monsters, chaos, and something else in and of itself that I will not spoil for you all, because this series is fantastic, excellent, spectacular, unbelievably amazing, and just a straight-up masterpiece. You really have to read Bone if you haven't already. Much like Amulet, Netflix was supposed to give us an animated adaptation of Bone, but of course, it didn't happen. I'm inclined once again to remind you that if you haven't read either of these series that I've suggested that you've read, or any of the ones that I've suggested in this video, please go read them. Go support these creators. They genuinely need our help. And I think that's that. I will have hopefully passed the time in a successful and engaging way, as well as given you all something interesting that I hope you can all look forward to reading. Anyways, because we've been talking about books this whole time, I'll just say, stay gold, everyone. Also like and subscribe. We're very close to 900 and then hopefully 1,000 subscribers. Until next time, stay safe, drink some water, and please go support our creators as well as read these books that I just recommended. The series follows Emily, her brother... I'm never going to be able to pronounce his name right. The series follows Emily, her brother Naven... I think I said that right. Naven. Naven. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Emma Naven. Yes, I said it right. Yes! And now that they're in this world, they must also... Now they must find their mother, and... Now Em and Naven must find their mother, as well as stop a war that is about to happen. Now Em and Naven must stop a war. Now Em and Naven must... I can't say this.